So the topic is 2052. So Rui asked me, can you imagine the developer in 2052? Of course, the answer is no, you can't. Every time you try to predict the future, something different happens. But it's very useful to think, it's like a plan. A plan is never happened, but it could be practical to have one to understand the gap between what's happening and the plan, okay? I think this sentence is a very good one. It's come from the red team. I talk about red team later on, so don't worry. Assertions, but prediction are good for thinking about it, okay? So let me imagine what could be the world, and I sincerely try to imagine what could happen. So it's probably fiction, but maybe not. Okay? So first timeline. So today we're 2024, 2034, football cup, World Football Cup in Saudi Arabia. We can't stand it anymore. No more football cup in the world. So there's something called Carbon Squad. Carbon Squad is a team of activists fighting the greed of the corporation, the greed of the people with power, and they did some action against the World Cup. And then the world changed like a domino. Government falls, everything's changed. So it's an important date. And 3 zone appears. The neo corporation, let's imagine just our government with Google, Apple, Microsoft, everything, Amazon, growing, taking power, as we observe it already now. That's the first place where we live. The second place is the dictatorships. It's nearly the same, but it's less greedy, less rich, more violence, okay? And there's abandoned zones where maybe on some places, some eco-village could appear. And later on, there is what we call too hot to handle, place we cannot live anymore on Earth. So I'm giving you my inspirations. So one of my inspiration is a long conversation with Henri Lovenbroek. He's a novelist in France, and he's trying to write right now a role-playing game called Carbon Squad. I don't know if there are role players in the room, but they are the source of many good inspiration, okay? So no more global network on the abandoned zone. Let's say around 2040, the 9 planetary limits are reached. You know the 9 planetary limits? No? We have 9 metric, very important for the stability of the planet Earth. You know the carbon one, but there is also biodiversity, there is also acidity in the ocean, etc., etc. When we broke them, the world will become unstable. So let's say, imagine 2040. Okay, 2040, we'll talk about developers later. Okay, what did I put? I also put data crash and netwatch. It's coming from cyberpunk. Cyberpunk, it's another role-playing written down in the 80s by thank you. And it is a very interesting one because what he has written down appears now. The power of the corporation, it's exactly what was written down 30 years ago. Okay, so what is data crash? Suddenly there is a virus and the networks falling down, and it's the occasion for the corporation to set up NetWatch, which is only one network to rule them all, okay? NetWatch, data crash, another good inspiration. So it's fiction, but maybe it will happen, okay? Another one, the red team defense. You know red team defense? top right. It's the army, the French army, decide to call novelists, writers, drawers, etc., to give them inspiration for what will be the future. And when they receive the stories of these people, they try to answer with military reaction answers. Okay, if this happens, so for example, P Nation, so at some point, France decide to draw a very strong string, I don't know, to cable from Earth to a satellite in order to accelerate travel to the space. But there is a P nations appear in all the sea, kind of pirates, kind of people abandoned for the barbarian zones, and they attack. How do you answer such a difficult threat? Okay, so Red Team Defense is a very interesting. You go to redteamdefense.org and you'll be surprised. Okay, and of course implanted chips in everyone. It's fiction, but it may happen. Okay, so you have implanted chips in the head, so you don't need to learn something. You already got the knowledge, but the problem is who controls the implanted chips. Okay, so Red Team Defense is a very interesting. It's a website, and you could buy the book. Okay, you have many fun. You live. I don't get the word even in French. Okay, you're okay. Put in the scenario. You'll see. And the developers are the opposite. Okay, so I try to imagine a career of a developers, a young one, 25 today. Okay, so graduate, trainee, junior developers, blah, 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 head leader, guru, and I know you well. When you're guru, next step is your developer again, because, okay, we're all the same. Don't worry. It's quite normal. And then retirement. Think about it. Retirement, it's around 2065 if you're 30 today or 25 today, okay? And it's far, far away, but also it's quite near. It's 20, if we are back to 2052, it's 28 years from here. If I'm looking back 28 years at me in 94, 96, I just installed Doom on my Windows 95, and I'm trying to install Red Hat 4. No, Red Hat 4, it's maybe 96, 97, I don't know. And I maybe try to, and my first mail address, maybe. And today, everything's changed. So in 28 years again, everything will change, okay? So it's probably something like this that may happen. You think, okay, I retired in 26 or 2050, but it's a world that will be opened in between. If we look at the fiction scenarios that will probably never happen, but maybe, okay? So where will you be? And what is the job, what is important for developers in that cases? Okay? So just a glance at the Neo Corporation. If you look at some photos from Tokyo, it's really near. This is from Cyberpunk. Okay, and usually they tend to become fascist, as we observe today. Yeah. Just a glance at its dictatorship's quite nearly the same, but poorer, less rich. Okay, and it's also from not sure, but I think it's from Cyberpunk too. And this is from Carbon Squad. And there are some eco-villages that emerge in the barbarian zone, okay? So where is your near future in 30 years? Who will be retired in 30 years? Sorry to ask this. me. Okay, a third of the room. Okay, let's say you retired at 70. It will change in 30 years. So you retire at 70, sorry. Okay, so you're not concerned or maybe you are, but all the other, you will be still be working at that years. So be aware. So the usual disruptions to come, and I think I'm okay to discuss this one. It's okay. Biological computers with you all heard of based on small vegetables, etc., etc., etc. Human level artificial intelligence. So studies, I don't know what studies means, but studies say in between 2040 or 2060, you have, I don't know what means human-like artificial intelligence, but there is some kind of projection here. Programming living organism. I heard some ovaries for mouse print down with 3D printers that give birth nowadays, if you read the article. So in 20 years, probably a lot more stuff to come, okay? So are we ready? So this is a caricature. And be careful, do not read weakness, intelligence. Read weaknesses, situational intelligence. Thank you. Do not read emotion in weaknesses, read deal with emotion. It's a caricature. But I just want to, okay, what is the developers? What's his strength? What is weaknesses? In the future, in 30, 20 years, where will I be? In the neo-corporation with maximum power, or in the eco-village? What does that mean for me, a developer? Is it science fiction? Probably, but maybe not. If you really look at the world, maybe not. Oops, sorry, a leaflet from the Carbon Squad fall in the presentation. Sorry. And the EI, I got a letter somewhere. Yeah. So I asked some friend about EI. So what do you think? No, sorry. I asked some friends, okay, imagine you're in 2052. What happens nowadays? We heard about EI, we heard about quantum, we heard about all these things. And suddenly I got one answer, and the answer is, it's a friend. I will keep it anonymous. Your question suck. The whole context of your page suck. Even your positioning suck. And I keep on. AI is just pure marketing fantasy, which is exactly what AI suppliers are selling at the moment. Your questions are hyper-oriented on the aspects. AI is going to do everything too much on its own classes. It's completely absurd and naive. It's a friend. You sound like a guy who in the 90s thought the internet would replace all stores and transports. And by the way, about the stores, okay? Or computers will replace all workers in the 80s, okay? We're in a fucking marketing bubble about a single product, which is a chat box that can complete sentences of less than 1,000 words. This is completely cretinous, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I stop here, okay? It's still a friend, and sure, he's very anxious, that's my point. He's very anxious, and obviously, when you put AI somewhere, it bursts. And you can really think about it nowadays. So I'm just thinking about later, not nowadays, in 20, 30, 40 years. A riddle. Who are they? They do a wide variety of tasks. They write and design. They consider the best career advice because, last line, rare profession that provide a social lift, blah, blah. No sector of economic and political activity escape them. Avoid the torment of difficult physical jobs. You are the developers, yeah. The script from ancient Egypt. It's coming back from an analysis of the script. So it's interesting because the scribe became the copy monk, the monk who do copy, and suddenly there is a problem with their career because the printers appeared, and they call it witchcraft at some point in an official document, and they accuse them to be a mechanical craftsman. So I find it funny to hear. It's like witchcraft when we heard AI. It's quite the same. And it's interesting, the script completely disappeared, but not the not the novelists, the writers, not the editors, not many things around. Fictitious scenario. AI. Okay, I imagine Ken Beck can train his own little farm of AI and sell them or run them. You subscribe to Netflix and Ken Beck's AI. Good, interesting. The end of Weir's law. You know Weir's law. Weir's law. As we develop, the more power we got, the more easy way to develop, the more bloated software we build. Usually you receive something on your social network saying, we go on the moon with 45 kilo of blah, blah, and now LinkedIn is 60 megabytes of JavaScript. It's true. Okay, no more Weir's law, because I imagine with AI, no need to write well. It's gonna clean it. It's gonna do the interfaces between things. No more technical debt. Don't work on the technical debt. It's gonna work for you. No problem. And as it is shown in a slide this morning in the keynote, the hottest language nowadays is English. That's exactly the point. Okay, so we can imagine that. It means no need for developers, or far fewer developers. We need the experts. We need more and more strong experts, because if we let all the tasks to AI, I imagine, again, it's just imagination, fiction, probably wrong, probably, but it may happen. We imagine a lot more, less developers needed. Like the scribe, like the Egyptian scribe. Okay, but we need some experts to be sure that things are going well, or to understand what is happening, okay? And more the developers become a reviewer. If you read some Martin Fowler's poet on Mastodon, you will see that he encouraged people to use AI for reviewing or documenting, but not writing down codes today. So, if you are, that's not exactly what I'm saying here. What I'm saying here is, here I will write down stuff. You will just need to check, to review, or to work especially on some very specific things. And think about it for your career. The gear or enslavement. Take care that you see the background. We're in the corporation, the dictatorship. Take care as a developer that maybe you're the small hand that will help things going very bad to smell bad, okay? We're getting to this. So of course, implanted chips. So I told you Red Team Defense do a scenario with implanted chips, and suddenly it accelerates war, because you don't need to be an expert, because the implanted chips already put the knowledge in you. But problem is you don't know where you can be controlled. There is an interesting scenario too about because of implanted chips, there is less fighting between community, because it builds an augmented reality for you, so you feel well, because the augmented reality is what you're looking for. Example, if you're a heavy metal guy, you're walking the street with implanted chips and everything is dark and everything is metal. If you're a Zen guy, everything with, you got my point? It's a very interesting scenario to look at. And the net control and tracking. By the way, there is some issue. Oh, yeah. Do you notice there is issues with the French government in New Caledonia, and they cut down TikTok, the way the people communicate? It's possible because there is only one provider. So it's easy to shut things down. It's exactly one of the scenarios of cyberpunk with the NetWatch. This is nowadays the website of social credit in China. If you open the site, it's there. The rules, the points, already done, working, ready. And maybe you know this one. It's a Tallinn manual. It's come from Estonia because Estonia is very advanced about everything cyber. And it's the rules of cyber warfare. It's free online to download. Interesting because, for example, Rule 85, collective punishment is prohibited. It means it's possible. Okay, harmful effect of cyber operation is prohibited. It means it's possible nowadays, etc., etc., etc. So pay attention as a developers. There will be greedy, maybe it's fiction, maybe not, greedy corporation, and every little things you do could be exploited in a bad way. It's a story from someone, I will keep it anonymous. He was working in a freelance car sharing called Les Valets. It's funny in French. So, what do you say valet in English? How do you say valet in English? No one? Or majordome, if you wish. It's called the majordome. So it's called the servant in some way. And of course, a car working with a little tablet, geolocalization, classic geolocalization. And then suddenly HR asks for, hey, can we put some points on the collaborators and a threshold when they are too far from the job and we get them out of the company? Yeah, why not? When now the software is working, it's possible. Sorry, another advertise. 30 seconds. Ads. Okay. Another example. Someone working from an HR module. HR. Difficult. Okay. And the goal of the HR module was mass migration of employees from one company to a subsidiary when there is some companies buy another one. First used to migrate the workforce to Pôle emploi. Pôle emploi is the agency for unemployed people. It means the first use is they fire them and they use to move them to Pôle emploi HR database. You got it? Last one, the best one. Online betting company. They implemented tools to prevent addictive behavior. Finally, eventually, they use it to send incentives the day they receive their money from the state. Completely the opposite. So anytime you're writing down something, it could turn bad later. And depending how the world will evolve, keep that in mind. So when someone put on a slide, record everything, like Patrick this morning, beware. So other scenarios, there is an interesting website from Kaspersky, sorry. and obviously it's not up to date anymore. Since 2 or 3 years, it seems like abandoned. But people can put their IDs, and funnily, it's called Earth 2050. Some IDs, so more AI, more robots, dedicated law for them because they're not human, but quite like human. It sounds like Asimov for sure. Advertising in dreams. You got something in the head. Okay, another ads. Okay. Longer? No. Okay, a few comments first, and then we're going to move to the eco-villages. We forget we can observe that habit is stronger than knowledge. I can't tell you which book it was, but someone was describing a little girl, 4 years old, in front of a, of a TV, and she's looking for the telecommand for the, okay? And the habit is, so it's not a good example, sorry. The next one, I can find it on the, you ask a teenager, can you find it on the internet? Is looking on TikTok and maybe YouTube. Is never looking on a search engine. Or nowadays, I got three children, well, and I don't think that I got a boy from 22. He got 22 years old. I don't think he's looking for the documentation anymore. Never, never. And some developers discovered that documentation exists, and wow, it's clear. It's easy to use. Yeah, okay. And again, this scary entropy, Google saying don't be evil, blah, we'll see. The freedom of the web, everybody talks about the freedom of the web 20 years ago, and with CAPTCHA, we will improve security. Yeah, okay. Total bottle, it's Brazil, for those who knows. So we got two kind of words that will come. It's fiction, but it's probably very, 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 very probably happens. Some word you can still use a lot of energy, like the Neo Corporation was talking of. And you can, the energy permits you to hide the complexity. When you use a language like Java or Python or Rust, whatever, there is a garbage collector. There are many things that hides complexity for you, but it requires energy. If you're using a machine language, it's far more simple in a way that it is few less possibilities, very few possibilities, very direct, but it's complicated and it needs a lot of efforts. And that is probably the two words that will open for us. Or you're going to be powerful with AI, but you need a lot of energy. And we talk about all the trap we can fall in: security, privacy, rights, etc., etc. And the other one is probably the eco-village, when it's very reduced to something simple, but it's far more complicated to live with because you need a lot of effort. Example of scenario: we only have 8 servers on Earth anymore because no more energy, no more power for other servers. And we only keep Wikipedia frozen in 2036 and YouTube frozen in I don't know which years I put it, and only open from 5 to 10 in 5 in the morning, 10 in the evening. Okay, but it probably will not happen, but maybe. I keep Wikipedia and YouTube because you need YouTube to repair your washing machine, and you need Wikipedia to recall what was the first record of the Ramones in, okay. I imagine in this village, the geek, the developers is the most handsome guy because he needs to use a bicycle to make its computer work, okay? I imagine you have to know well to set up a mesh local network because there is no more global network, so you have your only router and Wi-Fi or Bluetooth router, and you need to set it up, okay? And usually when you have to look at more real scenario, you don't look in the future, you look aside or in the past. So if you look aside, there is a very well-known article from Randolph Ovuzu in 2012 called The Agonies of the African Programmer. You can read it. And there is a load shedding, which means power cut any time of the day. You work, poof, everything cutting down suddenly. So one of the last sentences is, most developers cannot meet their deadlines. Never, ever. Are you ready to work in an environment, in a village in 2052, where you have only electricity 3 hours a day, and the goal will be to be sure that you calculate at which time you irrigate the culture, or you can calculate some very obvious, useful, full of sense things. Okay, but load shedding in Africa. So maybe in the future, load shedding will be a global problem, or you're in the neo cooperation or in the dictatorships. Also, the African developer at that age, 10 years from here, is a jack of all trades, means he's developing, he's doing the marketing, he knows there is no back or front or mobile or architecture, it's everything. Okay, you find old computers in the old school, you repair them, you build them again, you make them start again, and obviously there is only basic on, or there is only a tough language, and you need to be able to work it, to make it work. In Africa, there is a network of cyber cases, so no network for everybody, so only specific place where you can access network. So what does that mean for a developer in 20 or 30 years? I think there will be a lot of joy, because it's meaningful, it's full of sense, it's very interesting. You know what you're doing. You're not working for someone you never see and who asking you dumb features. You know that your work as a computer permits to optimize the culture. So it's very, for example, so it's or to set up a network between villages, because a village alone it's not strong enough. If suddenly a horde from elsewhere arrives, the village is too small. You need some 10,000 people, 5,000 people, so, and you set up the network, and it's a key thing. Okay, Cuba, interesting. Cuba. I'm born in Cuba. That's why I'm called Pablo. So interesting, Cuba, you only have 30 hours per week or day, I don't remember, only if you're a doctor or a valuable citizen. So imagine tomorrow in your department, only a few people have access to network. So how do you imagine your developers work? What do we need for you? What you're good at what? And what we expect from you. Okay, Vanuatu, same thing, 10. And sometimes we also are surprised. I don't know if you see that. A few weeks ago, someone sent an article, San Francisco train, or not train, but metro, or you got it? are still powered by floppy disk. So it could be a problem, but be ready to work with what you have, and maybe you only gonna have that. In Cuba, they share data with huge data only with USB key. So prepare that. Who store USB key already? Who is storing already USB key? Maybe you need to. Who is learning a not complex language, a language like C, like machine language, like a down-level language? Who is ready to set up a router, develop something, develop a driver, and jack of all trade? That's what will be needed in that kind of area. So it's 15 minutes, c'est ça? So just kind of wrap up a little. On one side, neo-cooperation. When you will have all the power you want, you already have to think about ethics. Beware of the trackings, of the right, of the private issue. Prepare to detect fake. We already know that. But do you already start to prepare your job? Or what is your job regarding to that? Or what are you developing nowadays that can turn bad later? Okay? Far less coder, more experts. Or you are the ultimate experts who observe what the AI is producing, and it's okay, it's not okay. or you need to be a functional expert because if something like the AI develops for you, you're going to be here to check the functional parts of it. It's not do the thing right, it's the right thing. Okay, so change your points. Hacking will be, the hacking attitude will be very important to bypass the machine, to bypass the security, to keep privacy. So by hacking, I get the definition from IBM. You have the link. Hacking is the use of unconventional, blah, blah, blah. Do not respect, do not obey the convention or the tools. That's, I think, on both sides, something important. In the village, jack of all trade, functional understanding, hacking again, jack of all trade, be able to set up something. Okay. Who wants to work 100% remote? Please raise your hand. Nobody? Yeah. 80%. Raise your hand, please. Okay, it started. Okay, 80%. Okay. I'm surprised. I think more people want to work 100% remote. Is it? Did you? Are you ashamed of wanting to work 100% remote? No? Okay, good. If you want to work 100% remote, you're a perfect match for the dictatorships or the neo-cooperation. You can stay in your office room, ask for pizza delivered, and work with the machine, no problem. Cannot be possible in the eco-villages. Be aware of that. I know this was a caricature about the developers with the relation, with the politics, with the situational intelligence, but when the world will be more simple, means also more complicated, all these social skills will be very useful. Okay. So when I discuss about hacking and be aware of the privacy, is it an utopia or a dystopia? I'm not really asking you because my question is not well, but to finish, I want to close on a very, very, very interesting talk from someone called Lucie Aubrac, which was a resistant in the war. A very interesting one because she's very punchy and she's very fun. And so for French speaker, I recommend to listen to it. And she's asked, is resistance was an utopia? And the answer for her is clear. No, not at all. It's just optimism. It's just normal behavior. It's just a step-by-step things that is it normal to, during the war, someone from her school, she was a teacher, was removed because she was Jew. And is it normal? She said, no. And it's just a small little step and another little step, because in the newspapers, the truth wasn't written down. So they started to set up newspapers to tell the truth. It's small steps. Resistance is small step with optimism. It's gonna work. For whatever side you want to choose, there is not, or you not be able to choose neo-cooperation, dictatorship, or eco-village, or maybe it's not going to be this way at all, but maybe. It starts with, for you today, with small steps. Be aware of the privacy problem. Be aware of what you're putting on your computer. Be aware of what you are developing. Be aware of what are your skills nowadays. Are you able to set up? Are you hyper-specialized and tomorrow you're unuseful in a village? You're the computer. You know your grandmother come and ask you because your printer does not work. And usually you tell her, I'm like a garage guy. I'm not a better driver than you. I'm doing. Usually I don't want people asking me to repair the printer but I think it's important to be able to start storing USB key, start being able to understand network, basic language, repair the computer. Just open a computer and changing the motherboard of its importance. It's over. Sorry if. So, just when you want to predict something, it's impossible. But look at what the writers, the fiction's telling you, because usually there are some small parts of reality to come. Questions? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you heard. Is it a good? Yes, because it was a way for a social way to go to upgrade your social status. It's exactly like a computer, like a developers. This is probably the only job nowadays. Look at the new power lord of Earth, the Amazon guy, Elon Musk. And even for us, I'm not quite a developer, but I'm working in IT. Okay, even for us, it's one of the rare jobs that permit us to walk the ladder of the social scale. So yeah, it was a very something exactly like developers. Oh, you're developers, okay, no problem, you'll find a job. Hey, that luxury. Another question or not? Yeah, Patrick. Oh. First, I have no advice because it's future. So, okay, I'm a strong believer in science. So I don't know what means your questions, but rephrase your questions.
Let's say I'm a developer today, and I'm doing my job. When do I know, or what science will tell me that I need to shift, and that I will not be like the scribe all of a sudden taking what's.
Okay. So when will so it's a question of it's collapsing quickly or slowly? I don't know. I don't know. We discussed at lunchtime about is it evolution or is it disruption? And usually when you're an expert in a field, you're I think you're able to follow change because you're expert in the field, so your nose is open and you see the small changes, so you can follow them. But when it's disruption, by definition, you're the expert, so you're the one to be disrupted. So it's I would say like education, prepare more than react. But I'm no one. There is no expert in future. It's just try role-playing games. It sounds funny, but so my work is organizational coach. I think I'm a very different organizational coach because I did some role-playing games. Because you have to think in a systemic way. All is linked. Oh, if we move this, this happened, and this happens. And also role-playing are very useful things to put yourself in a situation. So at first, as usual, all your bad thinking's going out. I can kill, yeah, you can kill. I can grab a prisoner and torture, yeah, fear. But later when you play, first it's your pulsion that gets out. But later, it's very interesting to do role-playing. Just an hint, to project the future, to imagine some situation. Imagine imagine the eco-village. So tomorrow, what's your job? Are you still a developer or you change completely? Are you still a developer or do you change totally? Who changed? Raise your hand. We have a little time. Okay, so mostly 2/3 change. Why? Longer, stronger. So you're feeling there is no use for developers. Okay. Jack of all trade. Oh, okay. Oh, so direct to the point. But we will need developers in eco villages because maybe there is some projection forecasts with a small or just even to calculate who takes how many, but probably less interesting, but probably a lot more meaningful. Yeah, you want to say something about why not developers? Ask him. He's on his mobile. You want to say something? Same. And who want to stay developer? And why? Because? Okay, and you're ready to work in a more complicated but more interesting maybe situation with only one old computer, no memories, power shutdown. Okay. No more questions? Okay. Thank you all. Bye.